But I mean, is it not obvious that I guess the holy grail for these people is to have their own denomination? Right? I mean, they don't just want to be like mega church pastors. They want to have the mega church that becomes a denomination. And just think of the idiocy of Doug Wilson's denomination having people who, on the one hand, reject infant baptism and infant communion, and next to them is a family who does it and believes in it. Meanwhile, by the way, they don't actually believe in the real presence. Oh, but you can believe whatever you want to there. I mean, it's just crazy. It's insane. And the people from that denomination who have basically just copy pasted their own kind of church and made it up all grift and borrow from Orthodoxy. James Jordan did it for years. Just copy and paste, ripped off stuff from the Eastern Fathers. Peter Leithart, exact same thing. And then they just invent their own denomination because it's too devastating for people to be boomers building their lifelong ministry and be wrong. It's easier to construct your own cult. And unfortunately, that's what these people are. Now, they will all say, oh, you're a cult leader. You're a cult leader. I'm not a cult leader. I'm a comedian because I don't take myself seriously. I would never be a cult leader because I spent time in these people's cults and saw how ridiculous they are. These people take themselves super serious. These people think they're God's voice on earth. No matter how much they tell you, like, we believe in the principle of the right to private judgment and the free conscience of every individual to interpret the Bible as he sees fit according to the leading of the Holy Spirit. Yeah, but they all think that they're the voice of God. They're the anointed reformer. They're the true reformer. They're going to restore the church. And it's just delusion. It's just the same old delusions. Now, that doesn't mean, yeah, right, somebody's talking about James Jordan. That doesn't mean James Jordan doesn't have good biblical insights. It doesn't mean that when Doug Wilson debated Hitchens that he did bad. But what we're talking about, it's not like, well, Christianity is just do a few nice things, right? Oh, if you just do tag and if you have a couple good Bible commentaries, then that's good. That's all good, bro. I mean, that's not the church. And the big missing piece of the puzzle in the Protestant world is that they don't have the church because they don't actually believe that the church is a miraculous institution. They'll say that, but then it's divided. It's basically a gigantic historical failure because it didn't teach the gospel for 1600 years until Luther, until choose whoever heretic you want, restores the gospel, Paul Washer, whoever. And so they just construct their own man-made cults. All of them. James White, Paul Washer. That's why Mark Driscoll, they're cults of personalities that follow a dude. And then when the dude goes nuts, megalomaniac, and everything collapses, now they're in damage control. Now it's it's the providence of God, right? John Piper. Well, how come this keeps, why are we seeing this, right? If Protestantism is where it's at, if evangelicalism is where it's at, why do we keep seeing so much chaos and collapse? And again, I admit, there's problems everywhere, right? But there's something crazy and creepy and weird going on with these Protestant, Calvinist, megachurch, charismatic, blah, blah, blah. And I've given you some of the things that I think are the roots of the problems. Obviously, it's the big stuff like Sola Scriptura. It's the big stuff like history of the church. It's the big stuff like not having the church, apostolic succession, etc. And so every generation ends up being, each individual man must reinvent the wheel. Look at Paul Washer as the archetypal paradigm case. Nobody understood the gospel until me. I'm the true Anabaptist that will resurrect from the blackout the missing church. And for us, really, it's just delusion. It's a strong delusion because even if you're sincere, and that might not make you as guilty as some, con man or malicious person, you can do a lot of damage being sincere and being wrong. But how much harder is it to admit you're wrong when you're 60 years old, when you're boomers, and you built and made your own denomination up? It's hard. And there's too much pride wrapped up in that. And that's the root of this.